and welcome to another episode of Ignite Leadership. We're having breakfast here with Girish and Karan. Thank you guys for joining us at GoaFest at the GoaCast. So, since we're here in Goa, we can just drop the formalities and get into the questions, right? So, I think the first thing, like Amazon is a huge sponsor over here. We've been seeing it around everywhere. So, let's start with the big picture one, right? What does Amazon ads offering look like today when most people think of, let's say, just shopping or streaming? What's the bigger picture?
That's all you.
See, when we think about our advertising offering, what's important for us is to allow our brands to grow, right? And what is required for growth is brands need their product to be visible and be in the consideration set across many customers, right? And brands also want to add new products that they don't have yet, but they think it's relevant to their customers. So if you think about brand growth and going deeper into existing customers, what our advertising philosophy is that we would be able to help brands reach the right customers when they are not shopping, which is an important part of this journey, because when you're shopping, it is easier to drive higher consideration and purchases. But when you're not shopping, the ability to drive that awareness comes from our media products. This is where a Amazon MX player is very important, and Prime Video is important, Fire TV is important, and Alexa is important. So when you look at the entire suite of it, you're shopping on Amazon with high intention, and when you're not shopping on Amazon, and you heard Karan share the statistics in his talk, that entertainment in the form of video is by far the biggest time spent in a day. Right?
Yeah.
So when you put these two things together, our ability to reach customers at the right time with right messages, and then continuously driving that engagement with the customers throughout that journey, and then eventually being present when they're ready to purchase.
Yeah.
This is what we call full funnel. And I think our ability to tie these things together by bringing relevance to brands, because this is all from the signals that we capture from individual spending, household spending, and so on and so forth over time, I think that becomes very exciting for brands, because ultimately it's about outcomes. It's less about how many ad impressions did you run on Amazon or elsewhere, because an ad impression is a means to an end. We focus on the end, which is the outcome. So for us, it's a driver of growth.
And speaking of that, what are the kind of brand categories and industries that are really leaning into Amazon ads?
See, it cuts across the board. The simplest answer there is anybody that is selling a product to consumers is relevant, right? So that's one. But there's also a lot of services. If you take financial services, for example, automotives, for example, right, and many other services, including local businesses, national businesses, and so on. They are interested in reaching Amazon customers, and that's the reason why our advertising offerings across media, video, display, performance is interesting to brands that are not selling on Amazon as well, right? So, for example, if you take BFSI as a category, we've been working with BFSI brands ever since we launched advertising, because the Amazon customers are the right set of customers for their products, right?
Why is that?
That is because if you look at the households that shop on Amazon, those households are also relevant for a bank to offer a credit card program, right? They're also relevant for a mutual fund to talk about the new fund that is launching, right? And they're also relevant for the car manufacturer to show their new brand that is coming out for Diwali, right? So it's ultimately the audience that matters, right? Now, whether they're shopping on Amazon, watching a show on MX, regardless, ultimately we offer that audience to brands. Hence, it's both brands that are selling on Amazon as well as not selling on Amazon, but relevant to Amazon customers.
It's the value
And
of the
relevant to
audience.
brands also, right? So I think we refer to signals a little bit, but these are part of that, right? The whole idea is that traditionally advertising has always been, okay, we have a particular product or service we want to sell. We have a particular target group in mind of a proxy for who wants to buy this product or buy this service. So we're going to go and advertise. So let us say 15 to 30 year-old females in XYZ, let's say tier 1 metros, right? But actually, let's say if the product you're selling is, some kind of if you're selling soap, essentially what we're saying is, look, we can give you access to either people who bought soap or people who we think will buy soap. And if you're, and depending on where your brand is in the journey, if you're particularly selling, if you're buying and sort of, putting together a discount offer on an existing soap brand, there's a particular kind of media you can buy. If you're launching a new soap brand, there's a different kind of media you can buy. But ultimately, you want to reach those people.
Yeah.
And that is what, Amazon does better than anybody else for any physical good or service.
The audience is really valuable.
That's
yeah.
It's relevant. It's valuable and relevant.
Relevant, yeah.
And the right times to reach, because it is like Karan said, the proxies are no longer important, because what is important is the right time to engage, and that's what our signals help us do.
Yeah. So, on a similar note, I wanted to get back to MX Player itself. So, MX Player has had like this huge journey, right, with massive scale and varied content and a strong advertising play now. So, from your lens, where does MX sit today in India's broader OTT landscape?
So, it's a very unique position, right? So, if you look at the media landscape in general, like if you zoom out a little bit, and not just in India but in any market in the world, there's always been this continuum of free and paid, right? It's not as if all medias have always been paid or all media has always been free.
Yeah.
But I think we occupy this very interesting sort of position in the market, which says it's premium high quality content for free. So many of the other services you see in the market, some will have free content that will only be catch-up TV, original content will be behind a paywall. There are of course many services that are purely paid, which are completely paywall limited. Similarly, in the even if you see the television business, what I call old media, you have this all the growth that you've seen, the very limited growth that is happening in TV, you've seen off of FTA, right? FTA didn't exist 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
So free is a very big important part, especially in a market like India. And what we are saying is, not only is there no impediment to access, you can open the app and start watching. You can open our CTV offering and start watching. You can go on Fire TV and start watching without doing anything else. But we are also giving you high quality. We're giving you premium content, whether it is tentpole dramas like Ashram. Ashram today is as well produced or as big as any, you could call it, A-Ward, S-Ward, whatever show you want to call, or like a A-grade feature film. And we're also giving you reality shows that you're doing, on an everyday basis. So I think that is that one, and we've held on to this particular model for a long time. When we emerged, we were the only people to do it. Now others have started to realize, oh, listen, look, free, paid, we also need to be in both parts, etc. We've been clear about this for a while, and it's been sort of paying dividends.
Yeah. And when it comes to the content itself, right, like as you've just mentioned all the different genres, I want to understand, like, do you see it as the audience that shapes the kind of content you create, or is it the content that shapes the kind of like audiences that come to you?
This is an age-old question, right? I mean, I think you can talk about this in any kind of a product, but look, I think there's 2-3 ways of looking at it. Amazon has always been super customer forward, right? Not just MX, but PV or Amazon itself, the shopping, retail experience. So I think what we do is, we listen to our customers, right? Through social media, through customer support, through ratings and reviews, through focus groups, through many, many things. And that actually gives us a huge amount of insight on what customers like, what they don't like, what they're watching, etc., etc. But the trick to content is, as we say, it is data-led but creatively driven. So you have to understand what a customer may like or not, but then you have to have the creative chops, the ability, working with the right people, working with people who understand this, to be able to convert that and say, how do we creatively express this such that you can have a story that people want to watch.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, shows are not created on an Excel sheet.
Yeah.
You have to, but it's very important to also understand what customers are responding to or not. So it's a fine balance you have to always maintain. So data led and creatively driven is the way we think about it.
That's a good answer. That makes sense. So on a similar note to the previous question I'd asked, for advertisers who are planning their OTT strategy, where does MX Player fit into their larger marketing mix?
I think it really depends on the outcomes. So again, we bring vast reach, right? 250 million monthly actives. We have the only ones in the market who can provide relevance. So, depending on the kind of advertiser and the type of product, we fit in pretty much everywhere. Like we are fortunate to have the kind of scale and the ad tech to be able to fit in pretty much anywhere in that mix. So when you and like I said, this sort of unique thing of saying, look, we have this vast scale and we are creating premium content. I think that is when a brand is thinking about saying, hey, listen, we need to communicate a particular proposition. We're a big part of that, and we've seen that, you know, and especially now over the last 5-6 months post the transaction, I think that power of Amazon's monetization stack and MX's reach has genuinely created a fairly differentiated product in the market, and we're working with pretty much every brand under the sun to monetize that.
So just to wrap up, you know, this segment, I wanted to do a quick rapid fire with the two of you. What are some genres that Amazon wants to explore in making content going forward?
I mean, I think there's a lot of unexplored stuff on, I would say, young adult drama. I think that there's been a particular kind of young adult drama that's currently been out in the market, but I think there's a whole bunch of, like, you know, teen angst kind of stuff that really that's done very well in many parts of the world. And you're seeing a little bit of that work in some of our, like, you know, Videsi content. I think that's the way to right answer it. There's a lot of interesting stuff that we're seeing in, like, the what we call our Videsi sector that we think that we can do, like, a really good job of in those genres locally.
So what is more challenging from your perspective, keeping the viewer engaged or keeping the brand happy?
I think it's both. Right? It's both, because for the brand, it's important to reach the right audience. It's not about the impressions. It's about reaching the right audience at the right time. And for viewers, the story matters, the characters matter, right? So I think the push-pull exists there, because, you know, Karan keeps reminding us that, you know, movies are about stories and TV and OTT is about characters. So I think for us, the challenge and the opportunity is to create these stories in such a way that the character and the brands can be associated with. Right? In a way that it is not deliberate or explicit using interruptive ads. Right? So I think that is the balance we try to achieve. So it's definitely it's a creative endeavor with inputs from brands.
Got it. What about you? What do you think?
Both are easy and tough in their own way. I'd have to say it's fairly equal. I think it's not, like, you have to give credit to other creative teams, right? Coming up with, like, just the volume of content that we come up with is not easy. And similarly, like I said, ensuring that brands, you know, get high ROI. I think I said it before. Look, brands are also businesses. Right? They're going to invest when they see results. So yeah, it's certainly a fun job.
You know, that said, I think you know, we do make decisions where a show may just be right and relevant for the viewers, and may or may not be exciting to the brands at all, right? So for us, it's also about, like, can the user engage with the content in ways that I've never done before or felt before. So for us, it's really about that mix. You know, it's an equation with 10 different variables, and we try to optimize one over the other depending on what kind of content it is and when we want to launch such content, and then the brand angle comes in. So it's a, you know, it's a continuous process of optimization for us.
And you take creative risks as well sometimes, right? I mean, like, you have to do that to be able to create content that's differentiated, right? So for example, when I talked about this long format, we did a show on MX called Rohaniyat a couple of years ago, which was the first one that said, hey, listen, we are not going to do 10 episodes, we're going to do 30-40 episodes, right? It's a character-driven drama. It's a relationship drama, right? And that hadn't been done really in certainly in this geography before. So, you know, those are the kinds of things that you have to constantly think about. And then, like I said, the serendipity of having content that works with users, people like to watch it, the right people are watching it, therefore brands can participate in it in the right way.
It comes with every different challenge. And you know, finally, to wrap up, what is an advertising or content trend that you think is overrated?
Running ads because everybody else is running ads. I think that is overrated, because there is a general there's a general planning phenomenon that says you do this and this and this. And then everybody tries to optimize around these three elements, right, in a plan. And the reason why I think it is overrated is because it ignores the reality of how media is shifting underneath, because there are easier ways to achieve better outcomes than sticking to something that has worked well before.
Yeah.
I think that planning element is highly overrated.
I'd say a different version of the same thing, proxies.
Yeah,
That-
absolutely, yeah.
I said it before, if you're selling a mug, then let's get you customers who want to buy a mug, right? It could be male, it could be female, it could be tier 1, it could be tier 2, it could be, whatever you like, could be like 18 to 25, it could be 45 to 60, right? Everybody watches. I think I said it in my talk a little while ago, 83%, I remember the stat because I just said it, of smartphone users in India watch video. Right, so everybody watches. So I think the biggest myth or biggest overrated sort of practice is saying, let's talk about your product or your service and the audience you want to get to. Let's not use proxies. Proxies had to be used in the past because there was no other way to do it.
So there's been talk about ad innovation on platforms like MX, right? So Girish, I wanted to ask you, what's something that you've recently launched that brands should be paying more attention to according to you?
So I can give you a couple of examples, right? One is deep integration of brands into the shows in a rapid way, right? So traditionally it takes many months or years to bring a brand into the show, right? And if you think about how brands are evolving in India, right? We have new brands launching, every week, every month right now, and they're trying to compete with established experiences of other brands, right? And they're inventing on the products, they're inventing on the experiences. So the question is, how do you enable these brands to grow very quickly or get big fast, as most of the direct-to-consumer brands would like to do? Now, deeper integration with shows in short period of time is something that our team actively optimizes for. Because we don't want to do it after 2 years or a year. We want to do it in 6 months. We want to do it in 3 months, right? And bring more of it. So that's one area where we have innovated, is to say, how can we bring brands quicker into the story and then keep doing it continuously? That's one example, right? So that helps drive that stronger association between the character and the brands and the lifestyle it provides, right? The second is, really like simple and interesting formats. Like, for example, you're watching a show and there is a personal care product, and in India the one trend we see, which I found very interesting, is that people love to watch in portrait mode, even though the half of the screen below is showing whatever it is showing, next episode, other episodes, and so on. And it's fascinating why you wouldn't just turn it and watch full screen. But be that as may, what we did was we said, look, there's all this space available. So when you have a video, engaging video advertising playing, we show the product and the price and the ability to buy it right below the play, right? Thus creating a very quick impulsive engagement to say that, oh, I like this headphone, I can actually buy it right now. And you're already logged in, you're an Amazon customer, so you don't need to worry about your address or payment methods and so on. So it's very convenient, it's one click, right? So that is where we are tying, if you imagine like the mid funnel to the bottom funnel and then driving awareness through advertising together, right? The last one I would say is what we call immersive ad formats. I mean, these ad formats are, they're kind of playful in the sense that, if you're showing an ad for a shampoo that has, say, oranges or tangerines in it, you actually, or cucumbers, which are actually pretty cool. The cucumbers actually start falling on the screen from the ad, thus giving you the ability to drive freshness. In this case, it looks nice and there's a nice background on it, but also the engagement that this product has this element in it, and it's differentiated, because otherwise a shampoo is a shampoo, but this gives you the tangerine flavor, right? So I think the next innovation would be, if we can figure out how to drive smells, we'll bring that into the ad format.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see. Amazon will probably be the first one to do it then. All right. All right, thank you folks so much for joining us. We hope you enjoy the rest of Goa Fest. It's been great having you on the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having
Thank
us.
you. Thank you for having us.